this is a basic example of what's called non-commutative phase. And the oldest philosophy is three modes, so that Sattva is the octave, and the Rajas is the perfect fifth, the perfect fourth is the Tamas. And as I pointed out in Taoism, the perfect fifth is the single perfect so instead of defining sound as a physical, materialistic medium, it's defined based on listening to the source of the one. And so there's no need to have an external physical wavelength that you measure. And so when science says that humans can't hear the perfect fifth difference, they're ignoring what in traditional South Asian Indian music tuning is known to have. The perfect fifth is its three halves as the overtone, and its 2/3 as the undertone. And so you're changing the frequency and the amplitude, but you're not changing the pitch. So this is what makes 2/3 what they call non-commutative phase Alain Connes calls 2, 3, infinite non-commutative time frequency. And so instead of defining phase as a symmetric or space, circle, what Louis de Broglie calls the law of phase harmony, is that you have this eternal energy movement or motion. And so then in physics, the sound is called an acoustic oscillation as a phonon. And so indeed, if we're listening to the one, then obviously the undertone is a F to C when it's still the perfect fifth as 2/3. But since the 3 is going in the opposite direction as a ratio, if we double that as C to F, now it's the perfect fourth, which means that as in Indian music tuning, as they pointed out, if you hear the perfect fourth above the lower root tonic, in fact, you hear the perfect fourth as the new octave, as the perfect fifth below it. And this is all the secret of blues music, which is why the 1, 4, 5 music intervals are the basis for blues and also rock and jazz. And it's found in all human cultures use the perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and the octave. And so you have Dr. John Bulu. He has something called biosonics based on using tuning forks as the natural harmonics of the perfect fifth and perfect fourth. So in Western science, we call it the perfect fifth and perfect fourth, but actually they're using Western logarithmic equal tempered tuning. And we just think, since it's music, it doesn't matter, but that's because we've already made the error of wrongly defining how humans hear phase by defining phase as being a symmetric spatial measurement instead of phase being a non-commutative time frequency that we can listen to. And so because of this phase is faster than the speed of light due to the phase velocity, then we can actually listen to the future, as I pointed out in the last video. So this is just pure logic, right? Because the frequency and time, as they invert to each other as 2/3 and 3/2, they're a different geometry, and so they can't line up with the octave, because the octave is 1 and 2 changes values when it turns to 3 as a new octave, because the root tonic is the 1 has to maintain the multiples of 2 as the denominator. So then if you practice this, it turns out there's a meditation called the Small Universe Meditation, or the Microcosmic Orbit, and it's the basis of Taoist alchemy or Nadon. It's also found in India as Kriya Yoga, and they both use these 12 harmonic notes as like musical notes or energy notes along the body. But instead of it being a circle, even though you're repeating it in meditation, it's actually an infinite energy transduction. So it's not based on frequency as defined by the West, but rather as this non-commutative and also non-local phase that combines the future and the past. And so you're listening to the source of sound that's faster than the speed of light. So it's found in India as the Kriya Yoga, which is the oldest yoga of India. And in the West we call it the infinite spiral of fifths. But since the non-commutative phase logic got covered up, then people try to claim, well, it's just a different modular math. It's no different than, say, an infinite spiral of thirds or an infinite spiral of sevens or any other level. But that's not true, because the second and the 2 and the 3 are the first multiples of the 1. And so those non-commutative phase, they're the simplest ratios that demonstrate that time and frequency can't be contained as a symmetric spatial measurement. So that's why I call it the Hempel Effect, because humans can indeed hear that the phase change between the perfect fifth and perfect fourth compared to the root tonic, and it ends up being an immaterial energy transformation as alchemy, and 2/3 was sacred in Egypt for that same reason also. And it goes all the way back to our original human culture, the San Bushmen. That's all I'll say. Thanks. Bye.